What are you doing, Mazda? Are you setting your customers up for failure? Are you setting detailers up for liability? If you have a Mazda, be careful. Proceed with caution.
This detail was from July of 2025, and this is a 2021 CX-5. Now, this vehicle has some issues going on. When you look at it in the sunlight, you can see that something's just not right about the paint. We have some chemical staining going on, possibly even some oxidation. On our black wheels, they look kind of orange, almost gray, because they haven't been cleaned in so long. And we just have evidence that the vehicle hasn't been washed in a while. When we have a heavy buildup of dirt behind door handles and along seals, and then it rains, and then that dirt just kind of drips and stains the paint, that says to me we really haven't done a good blowout in a while. We also have some bird poop that looks like it could be a problem for us later on, but we'll see. The customer wants to have a ceramic coating applied to his Mazda to make maintenance easier. So first, what we're going to do is give it a good wash, chemical decontamination, clay tile treatment before we come in and assess the paint. Mazda paint has not always been the easiest for me to work on, so who knows what we're going to find. But let's go ahead and get set up and clean this vehicle. I always start with tires and wheels, and today we're testing out some new products from Yum.
You can tell it's a thicker product, and I'm instantly seeing that color changing effect. It's actually not that bad of a smell. You can smell a little bit of that kind of eggy smell, but very, very minimal. You smell a little bit more of like a chemical fruity smell on the back end. I know that sounds weird to describe that, but you're not really smelling it from this distance. You have to put your nose kind of up on it. So I actually really like that, because my husband is always complaining about these iron removers, and I don't think he's going to complain about this one. You see, even on our black wheels, you can very visibly see that purple reaction going on, and just how thick this product is, as it's just breaking down the dust and all the metal shavings on the paint.
Now, normally I wouldn't do this, but because we have a heavy level of dirt, we're going to rinse it off. Plus, I want to see what kind of cleaning capabilities we have.
You can see where I had kind of rubbed off some of the dirt where we have a clean surface underneath. We still have some of that brake dust, but I do think that it did loosen and remove some of the dirt. Now let's go ahead. I'm going to spray this down a second time. I'm not seeing quite as much reaction, but I still am seeing reaction, but that's to be expected because some of our rust is actually kind of pitted onto the paint.
So not only does Yum Wheels have a pleasant odor to it, the product is thicker, gel-like, has really nice lubrication to safely go after all of the dirt. And we had a ton of it, so I was relieved knowing that we had a little bit of extra lubrication going after all of this dirt. Yum Wheels is a pH-neutral, acid-free solution, but when we see that purple going on, that is actually an acidic reaction with the chemicals helping to break the bond that the brake dust and the iron metal shavings have on your wheel. So that way it's a lot safer to clean them.
Our wheel looks 1,000 times better. I honestly didn't think we were going to be able to get all of that off without using a wheel acid. And I was prepared to use an acid, but this did a great job. And oftentimes when you're using cleaners like these, because we have kind of an acidic reaction going on, but we're not necessarily using a strong acid, they're going to be far more safe on your clear coat, matte, and even, you know, aftermarket wheel finishes. So they're gentle enough for your wheel finishes that it's not going to stain it, dull it, or just damage it, but it's powerful enough with that acidic reaction that it can punch through some heavy dirt. So loving this product so far. Now let's go ahead and test out our undress. So again, I can see it's a little bit of a thicker product. It's clinging on our tire, which I like that. Actually has a really nice fruity smell. Oftentimes your tire cleaners, because they're such a high alkaline, they take your breath away. They can immediately hit you in the lungs and make you cough. This doesn't, and you can see just all of that browning coming right off of that tire. That's what I'm looking for out of a tire cleaner.
So this tire cleaner has actually become a little bit more like liquid gold. I only use it in extreme situations. I would probably rank this in like my top 5 tire cleaners.
We're gonna go one more time around. I wanna see what kind of brightening effect we have. if we have any less browning kind of dripping off. And I also want to see, is my foam getting lighter? And I'm still seeing we're cutting through some of that browning. So you may not get it all one time around the tire, but we had a severe amount of browning on that tire. No cleaner, unless you're using like straight up bug and tar remover or gasoline, is going to cut through that amount of browning with one time. You can see we got almost like yellow foam. We're getting there.
Now keep watching, because something really interesting happens after I clean these tires that I don't think we address enough, and I'll share with you guys a fix for it. There is such a thing as using too strong of a cleaner on tires and wheels, and you can actually accelerate bloom happening on tires. Now there's an anti-ozonant put within the rubber of your tire to help keep it from cracking and fading. And sometimes after cleaning your tires, they can look worse after cleaning, because now we've actually removed the dressings and all of the dirt that was kind of covering them up. And you'll notice in just a second, once things get a little dry, what our tires look like. And if you've ever dealt with this, you might wonder, did you damage the tire, or do we need to clean it more aggressively? My gut says that maybe there was an old tire coating on here and we just haven't fully removed it.
So it just got done raining. In fact, it's so hot that the water on the vehicle is almost all dry. To be quite honest, I know we were removing browning 2 times around. I was like, okay, I think we're good. But now seeing them dry, I think we're gonna continue to clean them a little bit more. To be honest, they look a little bit uglier now after cleaning than they did before. And sometimes when you haven't cleaned your tires in a while, that's just gonna kind of be the issue that you gotta deal with. I'm not gonna say that the tire cleaner doesn't work. I just think our tires were that badly neglected that you're either gonna have to go several times around the tire, or we might even break out something like a Peleus panel prep wipe, or even like a Stoner bug and tar remover, just to try to go after some of that browning a little bit more, because these tires, they're pretty bad. They're some of the worst that I've seen in a while. So we're gonna play around with what we need to do to get these tires a little bit better looking, but just wanted to share with you guys what they look like post cleaning.
So here's a quick fix on how to remove those stubborn old dressings and actually get to cleaning the tire.
All of that gunk that was on our tire, that was kind of preventing our cleaner from really working. You see like a clear 50-50. So like I said, I wouldn't do this all the time, but in serious situations where you got to do a bunch of heavy cleaning, this is just a quick product to use.
Now this product is clearly a tar and sap remover. It's not designed to be a tire cleaner. And I asked Stoner, is this safe to use on tires? And they said, once, it's not going to do damage. You just don't want to routinely clean tires with this. And you can see once we get all of the old dressings and kind of that heavy buildup off, now we can come in with our undressed tire cleaner and we're going to actually get a true clean tire. So on the other side of our vehicle, we first cleaned it with our tar and sap remover. Then we cleaned it 2 times with our undressed tire cleaner. And that's where we had a more natural finish and everything dried beautifully. This Mazda doesn't have a ton of dirt on it, but it does have a lot of film. We're going to use Yum Citrus at about a 1-to-10 dilution ratio in a sprayer. And we're also going to foam on Yum Foam on top of that as our foaming pre-soak. Yum Citrus has actually become my favorite citrus-based pre-soak. I love to apply it this way versus a foam cannon. Just spray it on the entire vehicle and then foam your foam over top of citrus. Kind of locks in the citrus, lets it work even longer, but it's also going to punch up the cleaning capability of your foaming pre-soak. We're going to use a soft detailing brush to clean out all of our nooks and crannies behind the door handles to try to get all of that dirt that's kind of sitting behind them gone, so that way if it rains in the future, we don't have those sad dirt streaks running down the paint. Now that we've done our foaming pre-soak, for our contact wash, we're using Yum Reset. This should hopefully help remove any sort of mineral deposits on the paint.
Smells like pineapple.
This is a fantastic acidic-based soap with nice lubrication that is perfect for maintaining a ceramic-coated vehicle with. This vehicle actually did have a ceramic spray coating on it, and I noticed that it actually was helping it, which I don't actually want. I want to remove the old coating to get ready for the new ceramic coating. Next step in our ceramic coating prep is for us to decontaminate the paint. Now, I do that simultaneously One, by spraying our iron remover on the paint, and then after we have our iron remover, since it has a nice lubrication and surfactants to it, we're going to come in with our clay towel and do a very quick decontamination. This vehicle wasn't bad when it came to contaminants, but this is just a really good essential step to get ready for our ceramic coating. Now we have everything washed, decontaminated, we're going to rinse and dry, and now we can see what's going on with our paint. And this is not looking good, guys. We're using my paint thickness gauge and checking every panel, and this is exactly what I was nervous about, because I have not ever done a Mazda that has over 3 mils of paint. But this is actually the thinnest paint that I have ever seen on a vehicle. Most modern vehicles have anywhere from 3 to 5 mils of paint, but the average that I see is 3 to 4. If you divide your paint up into thirds with your primer, your color, and then your clear coat, once we start getting below 3 mils, that's where I got to start being very conservative. Are you kidding me? 1.96 on either side of paint. What am I supposed to do with that? When the actual meter is saying paint layer is too thin. They're not kidding. A good bit of this is plastic, so there's no way for me to read it because this only reads on metal. But there was not a single panel on this vehicle that was over 3 mils. On average, we were 2 to 2.7, 2.8. There were a couple that maybe we got close to 3 mils of paint, but universally this paint is stupid thin. And this is Mazda paint for you. Every single Mazda vehicle that I have ever polished, they have a ridiculously thin paint. What does that mean? As a detailer, what does that mean? That means I get very, very few chances to even polish and correct issues. So if you have a Mazda and you are taking your vehicle through the automatic car wash with brushes, and you're thinking you're gonna abuse your paint and just have someone polish it to correct it, no. What that also means for me as a detailer is that I cannot be aggressive with how I approach this. Thankfully, this paint does not have many blemishes on it. Because honestly, if I were to use anything that has an aggressive abrasive, I don't want to run the risk of marring, that I have to do a second step to remove it. The issue is that if I go in aggressive with this paint, I run the risk of burning through it, and then that's on me. I'm liable to have to fix the paint. And I can't help Mazda paint being thin. I can't help that the customer, it does look like they've gone through the automatic car wash because I still see some staining. I see some holograms. I want to remove those holograms, and I'm torn because I don't know if I hit it with a white pad and a finishing polish, that might be enough to remove the holograms. And it would definitely be enough to remove whatever protection is still lingering. The C6 app isn't going to do much in way of removing the holograms. It would definitely remove the protection. So I think what I might do, I might risk it. I might go against my better judgment. I think we're going to do a white foam polishing pad, something like a Fabulous finishing polish, like one pass. We're talking one pass, see what we can do to remove the holograms that are in the paint, and then call it a day. So it's unfortunate that I can't do more. And when we pull this out into the sunlight, when you say, Chelsea, you ceramic coated over swirls and scratches, yeah, because I don't want to have to pay thousands of dollars for a respray. It is what it is sometimes, and that's the way the chips lie. But proceed with caution. If I were to come in here and say, oh, there's not much, I could come in with a yellow foam pad, perfect the paint. I could even come in here with like a 3D one, or maybe an Oberk Soul medium polish. That's kind of what I was thinking I was going to do. One step, get this paint dialed into perfection. That could be enough to burn through the paint on the roof. 1.96. When paint is thinner than a sticky note at its average 3 mils to 4 mils, what are you doing, Mazda? Are you setting your customers up for failure? Are you setting detailers up for liability? If you have a Mazda, be careful. Proceed with caution. So we're going to be very careful, we're going to be very quick, and we're going to be very gentle. But we do need to remove the protection, and if we can, maybe remove some of the holograms. Here's to hoping. But if you don't have one of these, I highly recommend it. It's called a CYB policy. Cover your butt. We have a rinseless wash with some Hydra ready, so that way when we wipe off our polish residue, we can gauge if there's still anything on the paint based on our hydrophobic. You can see kind of in the light, we do have, looks like some holograms. And it also looks right there, like we have a high spot. Yeah. Remember that big old poo mark that we had up here? See that lovely etch mark? Just letting it sit on there for who knows how long. See the kind of damage that that did. Oh dear God, should I even do this? This is the dilemma. I don't know. So does that mean it's been polished before? I think we're gonna call the customer. So I just got off the phone with this customer. It was about a 30-minute long conversation, and I asked him a few questions, and I feel like we've been able to come up with a decision and a good plan forward. But I asked him specifically 3 questions. 1, what was the last protection that you put on this vehicle? 2, has the vehicle ever been polished? And 3, what has been your standard maintenance with this vehicle? And the reason why I asked that is there's still something on here. It's pretty stout. I wanted to know, are we dealing with an actual ceramic coating? And he said he actually had in May of 2024, the Adams Graphene ceramic spray coating applied by the dealership that he was going to that maintained his vehicle. He went to them probably once a year to have them detail his vehicle. What he was doing as far as maintenance the first year, because he didn't know much about detailing and because he just likes a clean car, is he was taking it through the automatic car wash with brushes frequently. In fact, he said out of a 365-day year, he probably went through the automatic car wash 300 times. That's a lot. And that probably did a lot of damage, not only from chemical staining, but from the brushes with holograms. And so that could be some of the holograms that I'm seeing on this paint. But he was taking it to the dealership near him to have them detail it about every year. He originally was having them put on the turtle wax ceramic spray coating, and he did say that every time they applied it, they were polishing the paint. Now, I don't know if that's dual action. I don't know if that's rotary. I can assume rotary because most dealerships are looking for speed and efficiency. So more than likely, they were just kind of getting it done, rotoring the vehicle. I don't know if they were finishing down properly and applying the turtle wax ceramic spray coating. And then he said this last time, because he wasn't seeing a lot of performance that he wanted out of the turtle wax, he shifted to the Adams. So again, they polished the vehicle. We're probably now 3, if not 4 times that this paint has been polished. So that leads me to believe, and that's why the paint is so much more thin on the roof. And because all of our paint here does have quite a bit of holograms on it, it's either from the automatic car wash that the dealership never really removed them, or it's hologram marks from them overly aggressively polishing it with rotary and a wool pad. I can make assumptions. I can't really fully know. Sometimes as a detailer, we're detectives trying to figure out all of these scenarios. Regardless of what's been done in the past though, we're now in a situation where I need to remove the protection. It's still there. And I have a few options that we can go. And I gave these options to the customer. And that's one of the things that I would strongly recommend. If you ever get into a situation where you're dealing with paint that's this, then don't make that decision yourself. Call, educate your customer, explain to them what you're seeing, the dangers of proceeding with aggressive polishing or even trying to chase any of the defects, and let them decide. And I said, I'm asking you, do you want me to proceed with trying to remove some of the holograms, some of the swirl marks? There's not much that I feel comfortable doing on the roof. And he said, what would you do if it was your vehicle? And I said, I would probably do something like this on the roof. It's not going to correct much. It will remove whatever protection is there. Might give us some gloss, but it's not going to be aggressive and damage our paint. I don't feel like I'm going to run the risk of doing any more damage on the roof. However, on the rest of the vehicle, because we're like 2 mils to the high 2s, maybe 2.8, I have been able to polish paint like this as far as thinness and get decent gloss, a little bit of correction, definitely remove the protection with fabulous finishing polish and a white foam pad. You're not really being that aggressive on your paint. You're probably not even really removing any significant mils of paint from the vehicle. The sides and our hood
we're gonna proceed with our fabulous finishing polish and a white foam pad. 1 or 2 passes at a lower speed. We're not gonna rip it and send it. And we're gonna be at a moderate arm speed. So I should be able to get this correction done pretty quickly. But it is essential when you're in situations like this, communicate with your customers, educate. The customer was thankful that I told him this, and he knows now moving forward that he needs to proceed with utter caution with how he maintains this vehicle. He has not gone to the automatic car wash probably in the last year since he learned how much damage he was incurring to the paint, but sometimes it might be a little bit too late. And I'm gonna do what I can to try to correct what I can, but then we're gonna put a ceramic coating on this vehicle. It's not scratch proof. It will help slow down scratches because you're not gonna have to be as aggressive on the paint to remove dirt. So if you drive through the forest, if you go through an automatic car wash with brushes, you're gonna do damage, that's for sure. Ceramic coatings aren't gonna stop that. But if you are doing proper contact washes or rinseless washes and you're using soaps and cleaning agents that have lubrication and being smart about how you maintain your vehicle, you should greatly slow down the amount of scratches that are induced on the paint and also hopefully help prevent chemical staining and things like that. So the customer is fully aware of that. He appreciates the call and honestly said, I trust you. He's watched this channel for quite some time and he says, I know that you're not going to do anything that you're going to put the vehicle or anything like that in danger. He said, you know, it is what it is on the roof. I don't see up there. I'm not too worried about that. But the rest of the vehicle, the sides, the roof, those are the areas that maybe he wants them to look a little bit better. So that's kind of the route we're going to go. I think that's a good caution to proceed with. But within that, I'm not going to take liberties and chase my ego or maybe go 3-4 passes. This is going to be quick. This is going to be, you know, make sure we have the protection gone. That's my first focus. And it really, if I correct anything along the way, great. If not, it is what it is.
So on our roof, I am using my GG6, which is a small throw polisher at a low speed, and the red jeweling pad. This is basically a non-abrasive way to remove the protection off of the roof. Fortunately, what we had on the roof wasn't a burn. It was actually a high spot from the Adams Graphene ceramic spray coating. So we were able to remove that with our C6 app. We also polished all of our trim. It does not stain trim. It works really well for those areas. And the rest of the vehicle, I used my 15mm battery powered polisher, which isn't super powerful. At a lower speed, we're talking 3 or 4, and a white foam polishing pad, and did 1 or 2 very quick passes, and this is the result.
So we've been able to remove whatever protection was on there with just 2 quick passes. This is the side that we didn't polish yet. You can still see even kind of some of the staining that's on the paint as our water kind of dries. And then over here, you just have a nice flat surface.
Using a rinseless wash to remove polish residue is not only a lot safer on the paint, you don't run the risk of marring it with your towel, but that wet indicator is a great way to be able to distinguish between where your protection is still remaining and where your protection has fully been removed. So we're going to keep this in real time for just a second for you to see my arm speed as I was moving across the panel. Typically when you're doing heavy correction, you're moving at 1 inch per second. So you can see I'm not spending a ton of time really working the polish into it, but it was long enough for us to be able to remove the protection and the holograms that were on this paint.
So we were able to get the entire vehicle polished in under an hour. That is probably the benefits of not having to do heavy correction, but it didn't take much for us to actually remove the protection, remove some of the holograms, and just bring out a little bit more gloss on this paint. We're still gonna do a panel prep wipe because a rinseless wash isn't sufficient alone. It's great at removing the polish residue, kind of seeing where our protection levels are at, but we still want to just make sure we have a squeaky clean surface. I mean, it's pretty squeaky clean now, but we're going to use Payless or even Pans panel prep wipe. Probably Pans, just because whenever you're putting a ceramic coating, it's always best to use the manufacturer's recommended panel prep. So we're going to go ahead, do clean panel prep wipe, get everything even more squeaky clean, and then get ready to apply our ceramic coating. It shouldn't take too long. Hopefully we're going to have all this done by, I would say, 1:30, 1:45 at the latest. We're going to do our paint, we're going to do our trim, our headlights, all of our just plastic grills. We're not going to do any of the glass, but we are going to do the sunroof. So we've got a little bit of work still ahead of us, but honestly, the hard part, which is the prep, is done. The ceramic coating, that's kind of, I don't want to say like super easy. You still want to make sure that you avoid high spots, but fortunately, this is actually a very user-friendly ceramic coating. So as stressful as the polishing step was, now it should be smooth sailing. Just gonna get our softbox light out just to inspect, make sure we have no high spots. But I can't wait to see what this paint looks like once we have the ceramic coating applied. It's gonna be breathtaking, I think.
Now, because this paint is so thin and I don't want to have to polish it every 2 years, we're going to put a 8-year ceramic coating down in hopes that it'll last at least 3 to 4 years. So we're working with the Clean by Pan 8-year ceramic coating, and I've done video reviews on this product before, but one of the things that I love most about it, not only is it super easy to work with, but it has a little bit of a longer flash time, anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes. So that means that I can apply to more sections at once before I have to come in and level. So we're going to actually divide our hood into 4s, apply ceramic coating to all of our sections before we then have to come in and level. On this color vehicle, it's a little hard to see, but you can see we're starting to get some rainbowing. And when you see about 50% of that rainbowing flash off, that means it's ready for you to come in and level. Now I'm using a 3 towel method, but I am not rubbing aggressively. I'm using 2 low GSM towels. First one, just to kind of do a very quick light touch, just to kind of even out the coating on the surface. Then with my second towel, just kind of massage it, make sure we have no leftover residue or high spots, and then using a third plush towel, just as a very quick light touch, so that way we make sure we have no high spots left behind.
Every single time I use this coating, I ask myself the same question: how can it be this easy? Honestly, I've been working with some pretty heavy duty ceramic coatings lately that have been on the grabbier side, and I get that some ceramic coatings, due to the solids, due to the actives within it, you know, that's going to be the nature of it, and they're more chemically resistant. My mind just cannot compute that something this easy can last 8 years. To say that I am cautiously yet optimistically skeptical is probably accurate. I would love it if this could last 3 to 4 years. I would love it. Time is the only thing that will tell. His 3-year ceramic coating looks like day 1, 7 months on my vehicle. So if we have like a lighter version at 3 years and more actives, more kind of potency with 8 years, I think if you're not abusing it and you're maintaining it properly, you know, we could easily see 3, maybe 4 years out of this coating. This customer is gonna be washing this, I think, every 3 to 4 weeks. He actually said, I'm gonna wash it once a week. I said, you don't need to go that much. You don't need to go overkill, because the beauty of a ceramic coating is your vehicle is not gonna get as dirty as quickly, which means you don't have to wash it as frequently. And also, the only thing that really breaks down a ceramic coating is abrasion, and that abrasion can be in the form of polishing, but it can also be in the form of excess washing. If we're washing it once a week, you're gonna cut the durability of that coating. So every 3 to 4 weeks is really all you should need to keep the ceramic coating from having no road film and just things kind of sitting on the top, preventing the hydrophobics from really forming, and then it's going to be able to do what it is designed to do, which is help keep your vehicle cleaner, and when you do wash it, it's going to be a breeze. But you don't want to wash it too frequently, but I am very curious. I'm almost sad that I'm releasing this vehicle and it's going an hour and a half away, because I know the reality is I'm probably not going to see this vehicle again, but I will hopefully be checking in with this customer, hopefully getting some verbal updates on how the ceramic coating are performing. But oh man, it can't be this easy. Not a streak. I spoke too soon. Okay. Do have a little bit right there. Comes off with ease. Don't need a heavy hand, but it's just so easy that you feel like you don't need to level aggressively. But you do want to have just a firm hand, and this light will help you see if there's any streaks and unevenness with the ceramic coating after you've leveled. Here. All right. Now we coat quickly.
So I always start off with the hood to gauge what our application process is going to be like. And so now we're going to move on to the roof. We're going to apply it to the entire roof at once, including our B-pillars. And I was actually really surprised. Sometimes this takes a lot longer than you think, moving the ladder. And even though we let it sit on there for maybe a little bit longer than 2 minutes, it wasn't grabby whatsoever. It is a little bit of a thicker coating going down, but it's not a grabby coating coming off. With one towel, you can see you get a majority of the transfer solution up. That second towel very easily dials things in. It's super easy to see things on the sunroof. That's why I'm showing this to you. But you can also enrich your trim and just help it be protected to prevent staining and fading. So now that we've got one side done, we can then just move our ladder, finish up this second side, and again, letting this sit on there for a little bit longer of a period of time didn't make it difficult whatsoever to level. 2 towels should be all you really need to level the vehicle. If you start to notice maybe some excess solution being transferred from one section to the next or high spots, just switch your towels up. But once we do the roof and the hood, then I always do the front grille. That's the most intricate and time consuming. Break that into smaller sections if you need to, but we were actually able to coat the entire front bumper, then come in and level. We'll do the bumper and then proceed to all of the sides, which is the super easy part.
I am going thicker with this, but we have about half the bottle left. So we do have a lot of porous trim. And this color is hard to see it on the paint. So I think just because it's harder to see, I am going thicker. But it's doing a nice job at enriching the faded trim. I wouldn't say it's a restorer per se. You have extremely faded trim, but trim in this condition, I think it's doing a great job at bringing back some luster. Almost do this entire door panel with how primed my applicator is. We have kind of that stream going through the middle that we can pull from as we do our first crosshatch, and then just going up and down. We ensure even application, that we didn't miss anything. Go over this trim here. And just because it is more humid in here, it's about 62% humidity. It's super hot outside right now. I just think my mini split is struggling with keeping up. We're gonna go ahead and level this. That gives us kind of that 1.5 minute flash window, but I can already see this is rainbowing very nicely. Level with your first towel, and you'll notice I go beyond all of the body lines just to make sure that we don't have any high spots. Trim. And the slickness on this first panel that we did is insane. You can feel, after you coat, very impressive slickness. But this has been on here for probably close to an hour, and it just feels so good.
So I'm not a huge fan of his applicators because it kind of sounds like a toddler walking around in a diaper. but they're actually really great applicators because they keep a majority of the solution on the surface. You can actually hear kind of a plastic barrier underneath of them. And I was so primed on this applicator that by applying 10 to 15 drops on the applicator, I was able to do one huge door panel at a time. Once we let that sit on there for about 2 minutes, we're going to use our softbox light to help level. Because this paint color is tricky to see, the softbox light clearly helps us see the rainbowing, anything that's left behind. If you do not use a softbox light to level ceramic coatings, I think you're greatly missing out on an opportunity to remove some of the stress that comes with ceramic coating application. Sometimes things can look really great with normal shop lights, but when you pull it out into the sunlight, you might notice you didn't level it properly or you have a high spot left behind. Any sort of uneven appearance or high spots stand out like a sore thumb with this light. So it removes the guesswork, makes it far more enjoyable, and just ensures that you have high quality work. So we are finally on the home stretch, and we spent so much time cleaning our tires. Now I want to put a water-based dressing on them that not only is it going to be easier for the customer to maintain, but it's going to last several weeks, just giving them a beautiful gloss and shine. We're using Phoenix EOD's Fenrir at about a 1:4 dilution ratio. Now the customer had asked that I put something on the glass, but didn't necessarily want to pay for a glass coating. So we went with Katiba's Glass Clean and Repel. This actually is a really great maintenance product to not only dial in your glass, but also add a little bit of hydrophobics. That way, when you're driving in the rain, water will shed off the vehicle. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of glass coatings because if you have wiper judder issues, you just normally have to polish off the vehicle and use a product like this anyways. But I'm curious, would you guys want to see a glass coating test? Let me know. But when we were done with the vehicle and the customer came to pick it up, I always do a demonstration like this to one, show them the new hydrophobics of the vehicle, but to also show them that when they're done washing their vehicle, if they use a leaf blower to dry the vehicle, they can practically blow all of the water off the vehicle and touchless dry it. Now, I still do recommend using a microfiber to dry it and use a ceramic drying aid to just boost the hydrophobics, but the customer was absolutely giddy when he came to pick up the vehicle. Now, honestly, I was skeptical that we were going to be able to do a ton to this vehicle because of the issues that it had with the paint being so thin. But even though the paint was extremely thin, we were still able to properly prep and apply a ceramic coating for this customer. No, we didn't perfect the paint, and if you were to put a light on it, you might still see some mild swirls and scratches. But honestly, the customer was not concerned about that because when he came to pick up his vehicle, all he saw was an extremely shiny and glossy vehicle that looked better than the day that he drove it off of the car lot. So for those of you that say you got to perfect the paint, you don't always have to. Yes, you want to make sure that there's no protection on there. And for those of you that are dealing with a similar situation, hopefully these tips will help you guys have more confidence to know how to address thin paint and ceramic coating application. But if you guys have any questions about the products or the processes that we used, let me know in the comments section down below. But give us a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. But we'll see you guys in the next detail.